Hello, everyone. This is Suzanne at The Gospel Truth. Welcome back. Well, we made it to Monday, and it's the start of another beautiful week. And we are looking forward to this week, and never know what's going to happen from day to day, do we? I had a rough morning this morning with my pain levels, and I'm feeling a little bit better now. I did some exercising on it, and sometimes it's just not pleasant. Anyway, after we get done with our study today, or our reading from our book, Master Potter, I have a few items that I did make on my knitting machine that I will be showing you. I did manage to do that yesterday, which felt really good. All right, we are in the book Master Potter, and Master Potter is the Son of God in our book. And we are going to be looking at a woman named Forsaken and her journey to find the Master Potter and to become whole and healed. And today we're going to learn about a man named Antagonist. This is Forsaken's former boyfriend. So let's get started right away. Forsaken. Fleeing down the cobblestone alley behind the old tavern to the outskirts of Comfort Cove, Forsaken stumbles into the dreaded Potter's Field. Moonlight illuminates the broken vessels and garbage heaped on this huge city of worthless refuge. Bloodied and bruised after another vicious beating, she is barely escaping with her life. Years of trying to fill the empty void inside her soul had led to a downward spiral of alcohol, men, self-loathing, and bitterness. Penniless and out of choices, she moved into a shabby room above the Fisherman's Tavern with a local brawler named Antagonist. That's her former boyfriend. Once the thought of such an individual would have sickened her, but years of compromise made sleeping with even the vilest of men acceptable. Don't people become self-destructive along the way for whatever reasons? Something in their childhood, their upbringing, a very traumatic event that may happen to them. I grew up in a very traumatic situation when I was growing up, and I can relate to Forsaken. I wasn't never beaten and like that, but I can understand where that type of trauma can lead to you becoming self-loathing and not respecting yourself until hopefully one day you meet the Master Potter and he flips everything around. Once the thought of such an individual would have sickened her, but years of compromise made sleeping with even the vilest of men acceptable. It wasn't long before she became the target of his rage. During one of his many violent attacks, he cracked her sides, leaving gaping wounds in her fragile clay vessel. "I've got to hide. If Antagonist finds me, he'll kill me." Gasping for breath and exhausted from running, Forsaken collapses to the ground, convulsing in a loud, broken sobs. Wet ocean fog rolls in, slowly turning the Potter's Field into an eerie, otherworldly landscape. The anguished cries of other broken vessels echo sharply across the lonely field. Aren't there millions of broken vessels in a Potter's Field today? They're in despair, they feel hopeless, they feel underloved. A terrifying demonic horde creeps out of the dark shadows and through piles of garbage, further wounding the already shattered vessels. Hiding in an open trench, Forsaken grabs her head, trying to escape the recent memory of Antagonist's destructive words and the heavy blows. Forsaken had regained consciousness and was surprised to find that Antagonist passed out on the floor. Reeling from the beating of her own alcoholic stupor, she stumbled down the stairs and ran out into the night. With no other place to go, her terror drove her down the alley and finally into the field of torment. Abandon and hopelessness fell over her like a heavy blanket. Don't you just want to rush in and scoop her up and hold her to your chest and pet her and love on her? The guardian angel. Standing close by, a huge figure sadly watches Forsaken. She is crusted in mud, lying among the pottery shards and broken pieces of glass. He longs to help but cannot, not at least yet. The imposing, angelic being, Valiant, has looked after her since birth. Sober and still, his features express the years of disappointment and concern over the many tragic choices she had made, choices that have accumulated in the scene that now lies at his feet. Once hopeful for her future, he wonders if she will ever turn to Master Potter and be saved. I don't think we can imagine what guardian angels look down at us and see, wanting to help us, hoping it will ever come to the Master Potter. Meanwhile, Forsaken's heart pounds wildly. This is worse than I ever imagined. Not only do I have to hide from antagonists, but what if the legends are true? Since childhood, I've heard that Master Potter stalks the Potter's Field at night and lures broken vessels to his home, only to hurl them into the mountain of fire. Once you enter this field, they say that you'll never heard from again. What if that's true? Drained and exhausted, her body throbbing with pain, she falls into a fitful sleep. Demons dance in and out of her nightmares as she floats off in her alcoholic-induced stupor. Moaning aloud, Forsaken struggles in her sleep as nightmarish visions haunt her with images. Her abusive father screaming into her young face, threatening to abandon her to the Potter's Field. Near dawn, Forsaken stirs awake. Drenched in sweat, her dress clings to her broken and aching body. The rising sun begins to burn off the fog and beats down on the mounds of rotting garbage inhabited by swarming flies. Her mind reels with the reality of actually sitting in this appalling field. Sometimes it takes people hitting rock bottom to start looking upward. Streams of vapor rise from the refuse, creating a nauseating stench. She sees vultures circling, waiting for the last breath to escape from abandoned and dying vessels just like her. With trembling hands, she pushes herself up, determined to begin searching for a hiding place. From a standing position, Forsaken is now able to see the vastness of the city of refuge. Jagged mountains of trash, garbage, and broken vessels are strewn as far as her eyes can see in every direction. Those vessels that survived the night begin to emerge from their hiding places, driving away the packs of stray dogs and rats who challenge them for scraps of rotting food. Looking closely at the different vessels, she thinks, I'm just like those other broken pots that have been discarded and thrown away. My whole life is ruined. Look at me. I used to be so beautiful, and now I've lost everything. This is what my father always said I deserved. I guess he was right. I'm going to die in the Potter's Field. Clothed with compromise. Hours drag on, and Forsaken eventually finds a discarded barrel and climbs in. Peering through the cracks, she sees hundreds of other shattered vessels carefully discarded across the field. As her mind screams with tormenting thoughts about her many bad decisions, she tries to push back the guilt and shame by blame-shifting and rationalizing them away. I wouldn't be in this mess if it weren't for antagonist. Why couldn't he treat me right? He's just like all the rest. Trembling with fear, Forsaken feels the haze of her alcoholic stupor clearing. She crouches lower in the barrel, covering her ears in a futile attempt to block out the ceaseless, terrifying cries of tormented souls struggling to escape their misery. In the place of broken and forgotten dreams and dashed hopes, dark clouds of depression and the heaviness of despair descend upon everything in sight, covering the Potter's Field in a death-like shroud. Spiritual darkness excites even more demonic activity, and depression consumes the field. Warring over lost souls. The mighty angelic being adjusts his sword as he scans the dreary scene. His orders are clear. He's not to interfere unless Forsaken's life is threatened. So he stands interceding, waiting to see what the end of the little damaged picture will be. In this chaotic environment, an insidious war over lost souls continually rages. Spirits of rebellion and jealousy breed division in an attempt to annihilate fragile relationships. The purpose? Isolate the vessels and make them easy targets. Already strained ties between family and friends are severed and destroyed by the sinister minions, as relationships yield to the destructive grip of demonic bondage. Wow. How did I get here? Something I asked myself several years ago. How did I get here? And I really started examining my life. As night approaches, Forsaken crawls out of the stifling barrel and bitterly mutters to herself, "It wasn't supposed to happen this way. Just a few years ago, I had everything. How did my life go so wrong?" Her thin, mud-splattered dress no longer conceals her bruises. Blood from the cuts on her forehead and arms has stained her tattered outfit. "I used to be so attractive before I ended up on the docks. I always had a voice like a nightingale. And when I sang for the dinner parties at Madam's Inn, just the rustle of my beautiful gown turned every man's head. Look at me now." Forsaken sobs bitterly as she touched her tender cuts and bruises. "I'm such a mess. No one would ever want me." The intense fear of again being found by antagonist drives her to look for a better place to hide. She slowly picks her way through the field, trying hard not to let panic overwhelm her. Once before, she had tried to escape his controlling clutches, and he threatened to hunt her down and kill her if she ever left again. She sees movements ahead. Hope is rekindled, and she limps quickly toward another broken vessel. Drawing near, she hoarsely whispers, "Can you help me? I'm lost and thirsty. I just need a safe place to stay for a few days, and then I'll be traveling on. You see, I don't really belong here." Breaks your heart, doesn't it? Destiny's depression. Depression's destiny. The pudgy little mug laughs with contempt. "Oh, you belong here, all right. I know all about you. When I worked for the village, I occasionally enjoyed dinner with the mayor. That's when I heard you sing at Madame Foss Destiny's Inn." Sticking a fleshly finger in her face, he continues, "Everyone knew you were a cheap little gold digger, so don't tell me you don't belong here." Stung by the harsh words, Forsaken resorts with anger. "Who are you to judge me? I wasn't after Madame's money. Besides, I don't have to answer to you. Who are you to judge me? Of course, no one blames you, coming from the docks and all. I heard after you got kicked out of Madame's Inn, you become drunk just like your old man." Her shoulders drop and she hangs her head in shame, causing gaps in her sides to widen and send jolts of new pain across her fragile vessel. Yes, she had come from the docks, but her natural beauty had opened doors for her. She once believed she had a chance at being happy and cherished by someone special. Forsaken acknowledges to herself that she had become willing to do anything to escape from her alcoholic father. Still, it's none of the sturdy mug's business. "You keep my dad out of it. I'll never be like him. Besides, if you ever wake up wondering if there would be food on the table, did you go to school every day with all the other kids laughing at your ragged clothing? You don't know what it's like to be poor, so who are you to judge me?" "Don't snap at me," steams the mug. "You think you're the only one who had it rough? Just because I wasn't poor doesn't mean my life was easy. My folks gave me plenty of things, but they never loved me. I was the brunt of everyone's jokes because I'm a squatty little mug. Why do you think they named me Friendless? You're a low grade of clay, but at least you were once pretty and had friends." Insulted, Forsaken spews out a steam of venom. "So you think I'm a low grade, do you? I see you in the potter's field, too. Why don't you just get out of here? I'm sorry I asked you for anything. Just go away and leave me alone." Friendless grudgingly kicks another broken vessel before shuffling away. Lifelong companions, demons of self-pity, taunt him. "No one cares about an ugly, squatty mug like you, and no one ever will. You might as well be dead. No one would ever know you're gone." Forsaken watches him disappear over a mound of garbage. "Good riddance to bad rubbish," she angrily yells in his direction. Then she realizes she's alone once more. Immediately, she wishes she had been nicer. After all, he was a man, and maybe he could have protected her. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Sounds like to people that are speaking from deep pain that has occurred in their lives. And they have much despair in their lives. They feel no one will ever love them. And really examining, how did I get here? What happened? Okay, when we come back tomorrow, Finding Only Fear, and that will be the end of that chapter. In fact, let's see, in 15 minutes. I think we're just going to finish up, okay? All right. Finding Only Fear. The rising moon reflects the silhouettes of large, repulsive rats scurrying to gnash at the other devastated lives around her. Delighting in their cruel assignments, vile spirits embedded their poisonous talons into the hearts and minds of their helpless victims. If only I had a drink to calm my nerves and take away the fear. Forsaken digs furiously through the rubbish looking for a discarded bottle with even a few drops of liquor left inside. Frustrated, she throws an empty one over her shoulder and hears a cry. "Hey, lady, watch what you're doing. That hurts." Spinning around, Forsaken is startled to see a chipped, stoneware sugar bowl. She recognizes her as the dealer from the private gambling club at Madam's. The dealer had seldom spoken of Forsaken there, except to snap off a mocking, "Yes, madam," through clenched yellow teeth, and invariably held a dangling, somewhat mauled cigarette. Turncoat's movements were always brisk, and her skills with a deck of cards made lots of money for her madam. Her chain smoking created a brownish-yellow haze of cloud smoke and putrid odor that clung to each of the high-roller gamblers. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I hardly recognize you now. The last time I saw you, you were dealing for the madam." The dull little sugar bowl stops and studies Forsaken's face. Placing her hands on her white hips, she rasped, Well, well, if it isn't Forsaken, the little princess herself. You're not so glamorous anymore, are you?" "Turncoat, please. I'm new here, and I need help. Some place to stay for the night, at least. You know I don't belong here." "Listen here, girlie. I might have been a low-ranking employee at Madam's, but we're equal here. You're on your own. I can't help you." "I can't believe you're doing this. I thought we were friends." "I was never your friend. You didn't have time for me. You preferred the important people on your haughty climb up the social ladder. But now we see the truth of the matter. No, Forsaken, you're in the right place. You belong in this garbage dump just like the rest of us." Turncoat lips snarls up just enough to expose her yellow, tobacco-stained teeth. The demonically fueled words pierced Forsaken's fleshly, wounded heart, releasing a horde of vile, slimy demons to assault her. Spirits of self-hatred attached themselves to her, driving their sharp talons deep into the tender flesh of her heart and mind. She stumbles further in the potter's field. Humiliation and guilt hover over her, battering her with painful memories. Forsaken drops her head into her hands, despondently as she succumbs to their vile demonic games. Meanwhile, her addiction is screaming inside of her, driving her into a frantic search for relief. Okay, next we will come on to Chapter 4, The Looking Glass. Wow, there's no love in the potter's field, and there's not going to be any love in hell. A lot of people say, "I'll see you in hell." Think they're going to be all buddies and chummy. No, there'll be gnashing of teeth, crying out in pain. There's not going to be any love there, and there's no love in the potter's field. Hopefully, people crawl out of that potter's field to a better life. They crawl to the Savior. They redeem their lives through the Jesus' blood. And ultimately, in the end of all this, she will make it. But it's going to be a long, long journey. And isn't that the way it is in life? We are on a long, long journey. Some people do very well. Other people are having lots of difficulties along the way because of their childhood or things they got into when they shouldn't have. They didn't use common sense. But I like that there's always hope. And we can cling to that hope and cling to a great faith in our Lord Jesus Christ. All right, I hope you've enjoyed that. It's going to be a great allegory, great story. And I think a lot of us will be able to relate in one way or another to Forsaken. All right. As I told you, I did make, I'm gonna get my knitting machine just to show you. I don't know if I ever showed you that, what they look like. It's over here. All right. This is my knitting machine. And here's the crank. You turn the crank. Can you see those needles going up and down? Well, they catch the yarn. You feed the yarn through here. And you just crank and crank and crank and crank and crank. And how many rows, and it has a counter. And it depends on how many rows you do to make the project you're working on. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is a headband. My first headband that turned out great. This is the headband. I believe this color is called Peacock. It was a Vanna Choice Everyday Living yarn, I think. I can't remember the name of it. But it was a discontinued yarn. Years ago, Joann's had a huge sale and they got rid of all that type of yarn, like for $2.62 a skein, which had been like $5 each. And I stocked up big time. So this is this. I will model it for you. Put it on like this. And there you go. It's a cute little headband. It's called an ear warmer. Sometimes when the weather isn't real super cold, but you need something just to keep your ears warm, these are fantastic. I'm thinking about making a couple of these for an upcoming giveaway. I finally decided what I'm going to do for my giveaway. And we will have 2 winners of a beautiful headband, ear warmer. And this one will eventually make its way to the states that were flooded. Where my daughter works, I believe I told you, they are collecting hats, headbands, scarves, all kind of things. And I am going to be contributing hats and headbands. All right, the next one is this hat. I'm trying to see if I have a label in here. No. It's everyday. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. I'm not going to take a bunch of time with that. I will get the name of the yarn later. Now, they do have, this is a Premier yarn. You go to their website, they do, I think, still have these colors in DK weight. Now, this is, of course, a hat. this is one of my favorite ones that I do up. And the yarn just does its own thing. It's really cool how it makes the pattern. And this is how this one looks. Here we go. Turn around. There we go. Oh, it feels so nice on my head. So that's that one. Oh my goodness. Okay. And then, here's this one. Now this was just some scrap yarns that I had. It's always fun to see how these hats will turn out when I do them with scrap yarn. I'm never disappointed. And these are reversible, but I think I kind of like, now this is it being reversed. They're both pretty. Either way. See, I thought I liked the other side, but I like this side now too. Okay, we're going to turn it back out. Turn the brim up. I like a nice right brim on these hats. I am going to make a few beanies. A beanie is one that simply doesn't have the folded brim up. You just put it on and it's a beanie. So this is this one. This one fits really nice. This was done on my 48 pin central. I find my hats fit a little bit better when I do them on that one. I have an Addi 46 pin machine too. And I have an Addi 22 pin. The Addi 22, I'll be making small, they call them comfort dowels. And I'm going to try to get 5 or 6 of those made to send in with it. But isn't that pretty? Doesn't the white make it pop? I think that's just so pretty. So that's that. Oh, my goodness sakes. You know, I got my hair cut, and these are my bangs, okay? And I was going to go with bangs. And she said, oh, they'll be falling in your face all the time. You have to get them cut all the time. Well, this here flops in my face, too, and it's very aggravating. So I may have to go back and get that taken care of. I did make this. I don't know if I showed you. I'll just do a quick review of these hats, too. I think I showed you these, though. All right, something else I made a while back, and I'm going to try to get some of these made. These are kind of quick and easy. These are scrunchies. They make nice stocking stuffers. I do make these and sell them if anybody's interested. They are $4 each. But look at that. Here's a green one. Here's another purple and pink. This is one of my favorites, the rainbow. This is the large one. This is a medium one. And then this one. Wouldn't that be pretty with a nice dress and put that in the hair? Look how pretty that is. These are fun to make. So many things I want to make. Not enough time. Because I already showed you this hat. And I believe I showed you this one. If not, here it is. Now this is a long stocking cap. Now, some kids, this is a kid's side. I'm thinking about adding a pom-pom. Then it hangs down and back, and you put a pom-pom on it. But I thought for a youth, that would be, you know, a nice one. And then, of course, my sparkly one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5 hats, 1 ear warmer, and about 5 scrunchies. Fun, fun, fun. I never know when I pick up my yarn, unless it's a solid color. I do need to make some solid color hats. I love variegated yarn. I like lots of different colors. It reminds me when I was a little girl, I would color, and like one color on top of another, and I'd take my fingernail. It was so cool. And it made it pretty, it just was really pretty. And, but I do to make some solid colors. So I know a lot of people like the solid greens, blacks, reds, blues, and all that stuff. So I will be pumping out a few of those too. Of course, I have to work with, when I have a length of time where my shoulder's not hurting too bad, I come up with a routine doing these that doesn't hurt my shoulder too bad. And I really have to remind myself when I'll be cranking along and I listen to videos and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, I know my shoulder's hurting, but just 20 more rows and I'll have this one done. But I'm learning, no, stop the machine, give your arm a break for a while, and then come back to it. Thank goodness my right shoulder is the one I crank with. It's not my left one, so that really makes a huge difference. I can't imagine if I had to crank with that. Anyway, that's it for today. I love each and every one of you. I've got to get ready. We've got to leave soon. It's 5 after 1. We leave here about 1:30 to head out. And then after that, I'll drop Ron back off home, and then I have to go to the grocery store. So, a nice full day. And I love it when it's that way, when you keep busy and you're productive, and doesn't that feel great? All right, everyone, you take care. Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another great video. And I'll get working on the headbands and probably announce Friday. We're going to shoot for Friday, announcing the giveaway. I'm going to make 2 headbands. And let me know in the comments, would you like me to do a variegated ones, or do one half one color, half another color, all solid colors? What would be your preference if you won an ear warmer? And maybe I'll just use this as a display, and then if you win, I'll ask you, what colors would you like? And that way it would be very personalized. All right, everyone, take care. I gotta run. Bye-bye.